All right, guys. So round one of the NHL playoffs just concluded. The Florida Panthers move on. The Toronto Maple Leafs move on. The Carolina Hurricanes and
New York Devils.
the New Jersey Devils in the East. So we'll talk about that first. Jordan, how do you see this East going in the second round? Who do you think wins
Um,
the series?
I think Florida knocks off Toronto, and I got Carolina beating New Jersey.
And why do you say that?
I just think, well, first off, when you're talking about the Carolina New Jersey series, I just think Carolina's a better team than New Jersey. And then the Toronto Florida series, just flip a coin, really.
Yeah, I mean, the Florida Panthers. Like I mentioned in my game of the week, the Florida Panthers knocked out the Boston Bruins in 7 games. Carter Verhaeghe scored the game clinching goal. I too have the Florida Panthers in 7. Again, I think they pushed Toronto to the limits. I think Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, the two I talked about in my game of the week, they keep Toronto in it through 7 games. But overall, I think the Florida Panthers take it and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals to face the Carolina Hurricanes. I have Carolina beating New Jersey in 5.
And then the West, you got Dallas facing off against Seattle, and then Vegas facing off against Edmonton. How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, obviously the Edmonton Oilers, um, they knocked out the LA Kings. You know, my second team is the LA Kings, and I'm kind of upset about the Kings losing round one. But you know what? I'll give it to Edmonton. They played a great series, and I'll give it to the Oilers, really. I see
You
the
got
Oilers advancing, beating the Golden Knights and advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals. I see them beating the Golden Knights in 6 games. I'll give the Golden Knights 6 games because they got the goalie situation figured out, and I think that carries the Golden Knights. The Stars, I think the Stars take this one against the Kraken. You know, the Kraken are still a young team, and I think one of the best goalies in the NHL, and Jake Orlinger, just takes this one for Dallas. Jake Orlinger takes over and he takes the series for Dallas. So I got Dallas saying 5.
Yeah, I got Dallas and Vegas actually. Home ice advantage to me is going to be the difference in that series.
Oh yeah, home ice advantage is the difference in every series, except for the Boston Bruins, because you know during the regular season, home ice advantage was everything against the Bruins and the Panthers. But once it got to the playoffs, whole different story.
Yeah, we
Um,
always playoffs are a completely different animal. But I did want to bring
yes.
up I did want to bring up this interesting stat real quick that I decided to do some research on, and 3 of the 8 teams left in the Stanley Cup playoffs have never won the Stanley Cup. Toronto hasn't won it since 1967. Carolina hasn't won it since 2006. New Jersey hasn't done it since 2003. Dallas hasn't done it since 1999, and the Oilers haven't done it since 1990.
Yeah, so that leaves the Florida Panthers who have never done it, the Seattle Kraken who have never done it, and the Vegas Golden Knights who have never done it.
Mm-hmm. And then one more,
So,
and then one
will
more.
one of those teams win the Stanley Cup this year? What do you think, Jordan? Will one of those teams finally get it done and win the Stanley Cup?
I'm not
Well, I
picking
guess you
it.
can only say that for the Panthers because the Kraken have only been a team for 2 years, and the Golden Knights have only been a team for I believe 3 or 4.
It's still a
So
matter. It's still a matter of fact. Those teams have never won it. It's still
yeah,
it's
it is. It
still
is.
a. And then one more thing I want to touch on real quick, talking about the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is the Bruins choke this year the biggest choke of all time? I would argue it
I
is.
think it's just. I think it's definitely up there.
I would argue it is.
Of course, you also got the Super Bowl. I'm sorry to give this to you. I know you're a Falcons fan. I'm sorry to give this to you, but I gotta bring it up when we're talking about the biggest chokes in history. The Atlanta Falcons choked away in 28-3 league in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. I feel like you
Okay.
still have to give the biggest choke to that game.
Okay. I would argue it is the Bruins because you have the NHL record, right? 65 wins. You
Oh yeah,
have a 43 point differential in the regular season. Boston had 135, Florida had 92. The
oh
Panthers have
yeah,
to survive the last day to get in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Boston had no, what, February? They were in the playoffs?
I believe so. I believe you're right.
Boston led the series 3 games to 1. They had a chance to close it out in game 5. They didn't do it. Had a chance to go down to Sunrise. Led in the third period. Blew that. Came home. They led 2
Led
nothing,
into the last minute.
but bounced back. Led 3-2. Gave up a goal in the final minute. And then lost it in overtime in game 7.
All valid points here. I think the biggest choke in sports history, still has to go to the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, that's a fair argument. But, I mean, I think it's the Bruins.